is here, and that means sunshine, friends, family, and maybe even some extra time off to dedicate to gaming. But with summer often comes disrupted schedules, overseas holidays, or staycations that involve short and long distance travel. You might not always be able to rely on your PC or home consoles. And that's where your trusty Nintendo Switch comes in. Whether you're planning on bringing it to the local beer garden one sunny afternoon or getting your family involved in a party game night at your shared holiday home, here are 14 Nintendo Switch games for a perfect summer of gaming. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword first released way back in 2011, and every design choice in it was made to take advantage of the Wii's motion controls. It was a nice idea, but because of this, Skyward Sword never felt all that intuitive to play. But now Nintendo are taking another jab at the game with a Switch re-release that updates the control scheme. Now, it doesn't mitigate every single issue Skyward Sword had the first time around, but mapping sword swipes to the right thumbstick definitely improves combat and gives you the chance to experience what was certainly one of the most experimental Zelda games handheld. If soaring through the clouds, piercing through a bright blue sky on the back of a loft wing isn't a perfect summer activity, well, we don't know what is. If you haven't yet given in to the wholesome delights of Stardew Valley, now might be the time. There is just something so soothing about building the perfect farm from the ground up that's hard to properly describe. But starting from a packet of parsnip seeds and a plot of untilled land, and working your way up to a farm that offers artisanal mayonnaise, truffle oil, and pale ale, among other tasty treats, just feels pretty amazing. Stardew Valley offers so much more than farming though. It's a dating sim, a dungeon crawler, and an adventure game with fantasy elements as well. Plus, it has music so gorgeous that you'll never tire of hearing the seasons change. And with them, the soundtrack. It's the perfect game to luxuriate in and while away your free hours, and it's even better handheld, where you can check in and tend to your crops no matter where you are. Now, we know it's kind of unlikely that anyone who owns a Nintendo Switch at this point hasn't at least considered picking up The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. But if you were perhaps unsure about it, or maybe waiting for a sign that now was the time to finally give it a go, consider this it. Breath of the Wild is absolute Switch perfection. A gorgeous playground of a game that hands you the keys to an expertly crafted kingdom, along with a vast array of toys and tools, and just lets you enjoy. There are so many things to love about Breath of the Wild, but one of our favourite is its pace. There's absolutely no rush to make your way through its main story, to hunt down its 900 Korok seeds, to complete its 42 shrines, or to find any of its frankly staggering number of secrets and side distractions. You could play this all day, every day on holiday and still find something new around every corner. Plus, with a sequel on the way, the summer is a perfect time to scrub this one from your pile of shame.
100 years ago.
Tetris sounds pretty ridiculous, doesn't it? It's like the punchline to a joke about the ubiquity of Battle Royale modes and how pretty much every game developer wants to muscle in on their popularity, even when it doesn't exactly fit their genre. But it turns out Battle Royale Tetris is the basis for one of the most unexpected, exciting, and downright fun console exclusives in years. Tetris 99. It's Tetris, the ultimate time sink game everyone knows and loves, but now it's competitive. There's something just quite wonderful seeing a classic game that you think you know through and through being reforged into something new, with added complexities and nuances that only the addition of 98 other potential players can bring, making it feel completely refreshing. And what's even better is, if you're subscribed to the Nintendo Switch online service, it's free. Tetris has always been a game made for long journeys, or even if you simply have a little pocket of time to fill. With Tetris 99, there are just even more ways to play it. But while we're on the subject of more ways to play Tetris, we really ought to mention Puyo Puyo Tetris as well. Two puzzle games in one. It's a mashup that complements each element perfectly, though you can still opt to play either Puyo Puyo or Tetris separately too, if you wish, or alternate between them both. The real fun of this package, however, is in competitive play, which can be surprisingly challenging. There are about 100 single-player challenges to help ease you into the world, but once you've gotten those down, local play is where Puyo Puyo Tetris will really shine. It may not look like a pure party game, but the combative multiplayer party mode is enjoyable chaos, hilariously subverting Puyo Puyo Tetris's precise puzzling by constantly tossing in wildly unfair power-ups like turning the screen black or rapidly increasing drop rates. Big Bang, meanwhile, is a brilliantly compulsive game of rapid-fire elimination. Here, you simply need to score the most points by clearing the board as quickly and as often as possible. It's absolute mayhem, and the elimination at the end of each round is the kind of fun that gets people out of their seat for an air punch or two. If you're looking for a game to bring out to get family and friends involved in a little bit of crowd around the screen time, this is it.
What a poor result!
That was perfect!
Yeah, that's right, more Zelda. What of it? But here's the twist. Cadence of Hyrule is a gorgeous reimagining of the flip-screen Zeldas of the 8 and 16-bit generations, shot through with a rhythm action element that is so stylishly executed, it feels like it's always been there. Legend of Zelda is probably one of the least procedural game series of all time. I mean, think of a Zelda game and you think of something that has been so meticulously pieced together, every inch of that world has been crafted just so. But this works. It takes a bit of getting used to, sure, but this is a combo that, with a little patience up front, becomes super rewarding. Keep to the beat or face the music, and what music it is. Coupled with gorgeous colors and peppy animations, Cadence of Hyrule is a game that feeds those summer vibes by keeping your toes tapping. Picross has become such a ubiquitous part of Nintendo's handheld portfolio that it's very easy to forget that it's there. It's also very easy, in fact, to think Picross isn't a video game at all. It's more like a close relative to Sudoku. Picross, if you're unfamiliar, is a classic form of logic puzzle, often referred to as nonograms, in which players try to determine where to place squares on a grid by cross-referencing number sequences found on each row and column. If completed correctly, those squares will ultimately form a simple image. Now, I know it sounds complex and maybe even a little dull, but it's easy to forget just how good the Picross formula is. If it's a long journey eating puzzler you're after, or want to sit down with of a quiet evening when the weather's not so great outside, Switch games don't come more perfect for the mood than this. Windjammers is kind of like an old school mashup of Street Fighter and Pong, and as such it's one of the very best local multiplayer games you can find, which of course makes it an absolute essential for the Switch. You've got a limited selection of fighters to choose from, facing off as they fling a frisbee back and forth in a series of small, self-contained areas. Get that frisbee past your opponent to score, with more points netted for hitting certain parts of the back netting. Couldn't be simpler, and so, of course, it's very, very Moorish. And with both online and local multiplayer options, you will never be short of challengers. If there's a more effective way of transporting yourself back in time to play frisbee on a beach with the most 90s soundtrack and UI ever made, I haven't found it.
Next round.
Yeah, okay, so Hollow Knight might not be the first game you think of when you think of summer, but if you have a Switch, you probably do owe it to yourself to try it out. Think of its hand-painted, dark, muted color scheme and deceptively cartoonish visuals as a palette cleanser to the usual brighter sights and sounds of summer. Sometimes you don't want a game that you can simply opt in and out of on a whim. Sometimes you want to hunker down, close the curtains, get comfy, and dedicate entire days off to exploration and discovery. There are secrets everywhere, combat can be brutal, and it is not into holding your hand or telling you what to do or where to go. You can lose weeks of your summer vacation to Hollow Knight if you aren't careful. So yeah, enjoy. But hey, look, if it's dungeon crawling you want, and Hollow Knight isn't quite doing it for you, then surely Dead Cells will. I mean, sure, it's a little on the morbid side, and sure, it's a game all about reanimating decapitated corpses in order to escape an island overrun by undead creatures. But it still manages to look gorgeous, and not at all like the grim grey-green hellscapes this kind of genre often calls for. For a game all about death, it feels incredibly alive. And yeah, it's not exactly the type of game you can manage while maintaining a conversation with company down the pub, nor is it really the type of game that you'll want to dip in and out of while family and friends are around. But every so often, you need a little bit of gaming me time, even in the height of summer. And Dead Cells is just the ticket. We all doubted it when it was first announced, but Mario vs. Rabbids is a turn-based tactical RPG like no other. The melding of a superbly designed tactical combat challenge with ridiculous slapstick humour is perfect for family get-togethers that everyone can enjoy and appreciate. The cornball antics of the Rabbids crossed with the universal nostalgic wonder of the Mushroom Kingdom mean that in local multiplayer, even if you aren't always 100% clued in on what's going on, there's always a detail or two that you can point at and appreciate. That this game makes turn-based tactical gameplay in the same vein as XCOM understandable and enjoyable to new audiences is just the cherry on top of a delicious, ridiculous sundae. Some games just want to make you laugh, and this is one of them. We dare you not to try and fight over who gets to play as Rabbid Peach though, the utterly unapologetic standout star of the show. Get in now before the sequel hits the Switch next year. With the world slowly beginning to open back up again, many will understandably want to return to gyms and parks and various other outdoor activities to make back a little bit of the exercise time we all lost in lockdown. But as a stepping stone from your sofa to the great outdoors, or even an alternative to that altogether if British weather is anything to go by, Nintendo offers a pretty excellent way to stay fit with Ring Fit Adventure. Turning exercise into an RPG is such a brilliantly simple idea, but it wouldn't be worth much if it didn't actually work. And now that there are plenty of testimonials out there in the wild saying that yes, you can tone up and play a video game at the same time, you can merrily multitask saving the world while you slowly buff yourself up. Swish peripherals and a fun fantasy setting are rounded out with lovely witty writing and a thoughtful spin on home workouts, making Ring Fit Adventure an absolute win. But then we knew that when we had Ainel on to play it with us last year, didn't we? Much like Breath of the Wild, it's hard to imagine anyone with a Switch hasn't made their mind up on Animal Crossing New Horizons by now. But hey, if it's a sign you were waiting for, here it is. Nintendo's legendary take on chill, bucolic living has never been more perfectly polished than here, where a one-way trip to an untouched tropical island quickly expands to involve town infrastructure meetings, crippling debt to Tom Nook, and the search for the perfect bedside table. Min-max this and it's a game filled with depth and secrets, even more so after multiple updates and seasonal embellishments since launch. But even if you just play it for a lazy hour every day, this is slow gaming at its most comforting. You just cannot beat this for its healing properties, and sometimes this kind of sedate gaming is exactly what you need to drift in and out of while on summer holiday, as easily and as gently as the tides of your little island paradise. Come on, you did not expect me to do a list of great games to play on the Switch and not include Hades, did you? It is the perfect pick up and play roguelite game. I mean, not only does it have a combat system that encourages you to endlessly experiment with weapons and randomized perks, as well as the environment itself, it boasts incredible voice acting, music, and art design that makes everything as beautiful to look at and listen to as it is to play. Hades is a game for all seasons. I spent a good chunk of my Christmas holiday playing it, for example. But it is particularly good for the summer because of its thirst factor. Goodbye hot girl summer, hello hot god summer. There really is something for everyone to enjoy here. Trust me.
What's with the look? You had your hands full, now you don't, thanks to me. Seems I'm left to thanking myself since you're too proud to do it.
And that is it. If you have any games to add to this list, and we are sure that you do, let us know in the comments. We are off to charge our Switch before heading out again, but make sure and subscribe if you haven't already for more videos like this one every single day. Thanks for watching. Bye!